alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
MashaAllah.
barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for the brothers joining me. Let me put my phone on silent. Acha. Okay, so today we have a topic which is very sensitive, as I already said, and that's about when somebody hurts you or pinches something from you, steals from you, or does any of that kind of stuff, damages you in any kind of way. How do we handle that? So I had a phone call earlier and one person was saying, can I ask Allah to take revenge on my behalf? That'll make me feel better. Or should I just forgive them and Allah will reward me immensely? And very hard for me to forget what that person did to me. Okay, so we come across many cases like this, and this is one of those few top topics where people get a little heated under the collar, and they feel that it's very personal to them, and reason being for that is they attach it to their akhirah, especially if they're practicing, and that it will affect their akhirah, and destiny comes into it, and many other forms. So I want to start off by saying a few things a little to the side just to set the tone. First of all, sometimes other people aren't necessarily evil, they're just under pressure, but we can't see the pressure. Okay, all of us have good and bad sides, and then their bad side comes out. Okay, so we understand that bit. The next thing we're told is don't hate that person, but look at their likes, especially if it's your husband or wife or somebody like that. Look at what you like about them. Don't hate them. What does hatred do? And we'll come in detail regarding this in a minute. Hatred just makes things worse for yourself, damages yourself. The next thing is that we are ordered to respect other people, to be kind to other people, to be gentle to other people. So one elderly lady not too long ago said to me, well, so other people, I'm dandi khate hain, and people keep on hitting us with sticks and it's supposed to be kind and gentle. I'm getting really confused here. Where's pleasure of Allah? And where's my right? Okay, so we talk about that as well. So can we start off with that bit first, just to set the tone? So in other words, sometimes other people are under pressure. Sometimes you're told religiously to be kind and nice to them, yet they are hurting you, they're stealing from you, etc. How would you deal with that because the main thing is how you think and how you feel.
Why would you? So it depends on the person, right? But usually, if someone is continuously hurting you, why would you surround yourself with that kind of toxic level of person? Like, you shouldn't have anything
against them. It could be a family
them.
member who lives in your home.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It depends on the person, right?
Yeah. Somebody close to you. We're not talking about somebody going past you on the street and swearing at you, saying, "Oh, I don't care about that." But if your family member hurts you, then it's really going to hurt. So the ones who are closest to your heart, we're really talking about them. The ones who are most beloved to you, we're talking about those.
I think you got to find a kind of tolerance level. You got to be firm to a certain extent, and obviously you're gonna have to. If you do love someone, you're gonna have to take it. I'm not to a certain extent, of course. There's levels. You don't want someone to go past that level.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna put it like going a little at the deep end now. Okay. There's somebody who you dearly love, who you gave so much of your life to. I mean, you could think about anybody here, parents. You can think about brothers and sisters or partners, etc. And you've given them so much of your heart. You've given them so much of your health, meaning that you worked day and night, to raise them, for example, or to provide for them, to give them a holiday and ice cream as well, not just the essentials, and then suddenly they desert you, or they turn their back on you, or they hurt you with their tongue, or they steal stuff from your which is personal to yourself. For example, they may take money out of your bank, for example, thousands of pounds, etc., again and again. Okay, now you're thinking, shall I tell the police? Shall I tell the family? Shall I tell Allah? What am I supposed to do? Shall I sit down and talk to them? And sometimes obviously it doesn't work. Now, never mind why those people are doing it. I've already sort of mentioned that, haven't I, trying to set the tone, like why would somebody do that kind of stuff? Just to say a bit on that, people have their own opinions. Okay, people think this is right, that is right. But if you all stood on the platform of Islam, we we would know what is right. But the biggest problem is we think we know, we feel this is right, we think that this is right, whereas in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the best of his servants are the ones that once Allah and his messenger has made a decision, they don't question it. Hear and obey. Yeah, but we don't do that, do we?
No.
Yeah, so how do you deal with those people who don't want to do that because they don't think it's good for their chemistry?
Honestly, I think it depends a case by case situation. Like, if that person, as you were saying, was a partner or someone that you were going to get married to,
Let's make it clear. Your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, your husband or your wife. Just talk about those because that's like the main.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
or your totally best lifelong pal. Yeah.
So, one, you're saying they've hurt you, but so what? Like, this is life, right? This world is designed to break your heart. Like, very seriously.
Have you been through anything, Bilal? He's had a cozy life.
Well, honestly,
Coming to the real world.
Honestly, if you think about it, like, who hasn't hurt you that you've known for a long period of time? We're humans at the end of the day. You know, if you're talking about direct family, because you live with them and see them on a day in day out basis, of course there's going to be times where they will say something at the end of the day that you might take incorrectly, or you may be upset by it, or maybe they're just frustrated or angry or feeling the pressure, as you're saying, and as a result of that, said something that upset you. I would almost say to that, it depends if that's become a habitual thing, or if it's literally a one-off, right? If my dad, for example, I'll give you my personal example. If my dad, and he's not like this, but for whatever reason he was stressed that day and he just said something that I didn't expect him to say to me,
out of character,
out of character, I would just shut up and let him be, right? Because I know that's not him. I know he might be in a specific situation where he's feeling the pressure, as you were saying.
But that's out of character. I'm going deeper here.
Yeah.
Somebody who, I'll give you a specific example because I know what Bilal's getting to. Get there. Okay, I know real life people like this. There's a mother who lives alone, and her son deserts her. Runs after, let's just say, a girl or his friends or his lifestyle, and he hardly ever contacts her, and he also blames her. I'm telling you, like, real life situations. So he actually blames her for things like, for example, you didn't raise me correctly, or something like, you didn't provide for me when I needed it, and you're selfish, or you look after yourself only, and that kind of stuff. Now we all know that mums and dads raise their children. We all know that. No matter how good or bad they raise them, they actually do put in an effort. We can't deny that. Okay, but I have so many cases where parents complain. I mean, that's one of the biggest topics, isn't it? In fact, that's one of the topics we were told to talk about. In fact, ordered to talk about on the podcast. So, but I didn't want to take it from, because we're speaking English, and we know our audience. Most of them will be young rather than elderly. So, and we know that there's more children's rights in Islam than even parents' rights if you list them. But we don't want to talk about from the we're sitting. Babaji sitting here, and we're really hurt over what our children know. We're not, but talking about reality. Children, you talking about specific examples? Children, then let's take that one, one at a time. Children, they hurt their parents, leave their parents, desert their parents, go to university, hardly ever ring their parents, go off and get married, hardly ever visit or contact their parents, and they blame their parents for things which, and as far as I have checked out, on the majority that I have found out, the vast majority is the children are wrong. Islamically, the parents are correct.
It seems you're saying that the children are blaming the tarbiyah that their parents did of them,
or the provision that they gave them worldly,
on their own behavior, right? But if you think about it, even Anbiya alayhi salam, right? Imagine the tarbiyah they would have done to their for their children, and still some of them ended up completely off the path, right?
Absolutely. So how do you handle it? How do you accept the moment? How do you do that?
Is that the story of Yusuf alayhi salam and his siblings?
Yeah,
we've got examples of that. It's a prime example of what he's saying.
So his father went blind. How do we handle it?
But if you look at the Anbiya alayhi salam, the way Moin Bhai has just mentioned, the way they dealt with it was purely through sabr.
Yes.
But then you've mentioned that there's a level of tolerance. So I think that person, the mother or the father, the thing is, the mother and father, their compassion is so great for the child that regardless of how many times they slip up, they disrespect them, they speak out of, like you said, speaking out of character, they will always forgive them. But then I like what Moinbai mentioned, is that level of tolerance. Maybe before getting to the resolution, the problem is that we, obviously as humans, that we have that human nature, maybe we are not setting that level of tolerance. And what we then do is we continue to do for that person, we continue to give to that person, and all they're doing is slamming the door in your face. And then you're hurt so much, it's almost become overwhelmed. It's so overwhelming. You've become hurt. You've done so much for this person, as Khalid mentioned. You've literally sacrificed your life for them. And now that person is mature enough to deal with his own situation, deal with his own affairs, and he's still blaming his parents. But because the parents have done so much, it's almost like there's no turning back now. It's so overwhelming. They're like, how do I deal with this? My entire life has been spent looking after this person. So and all these... It's just been, you know,
so I know
a negative
parent
response.
guardian, another situation. I know a parent guardian who actually backed off. They said, you know what?
This is what's
like, I know really old parents,
boundaries.
like pensioners. They said they give us enough. Alhamdulillah, the British government are generous, but they give us enough to live on. So, and you're at working age, or you're in your education. You get your benefits, you get your grants, whatever you get. Live with it. Goodbye. I'm not giving you nothing.
That's the point, right?
The children left the parents to it.
No, the parents left the children. Because going back to your point,
home, so parents say, okay, bye-bye.
Going back to your point, Adnan, it's about setting boundaries. I think that's what we're trying to say.
I think even aside from setting the boundaries, I think our problem in this day and age is we attach ourselves to too many. I say children are a worldly thing as well.
Attaching is one thing, but then emotionally attaching yourself.
No, exactly.
Dependency, I think.
It becomes
but how can you not? Because I know that the same one grandma said this, and I thought, oh, this is good. You know, elderly's wisdom said, if your child had an accident on Windsor Road, ended up in accident emergency, you would rush, even if you hate them.
Even if
you
would
just rush, you would just go.
Of course.
In fact, I know that some parents were in hospital and the parents and their children never turned up. But the parents would turn up.
But that's
now listen to this
love for a child, right?
I asked certain people, looked at life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created parents like that. They can't help it. Therefore, they get those rights. They can't help it.
You've mentioned that story many times where the male the son killed his mother over a girl because she obviously ordered him to. And I think when he was carrying the body, and he tripped up, and the soul spoke.
The heart, wasn't it the heart?
Was it the heart?
I think the heart started speaking.
It was the heart.
When he tripped up,
going to the extreme of their compassion and their love. That's the mother's love.
I'm going to say one other thing here now. I like to make things a bit more deep and complicated, because life is complicated. Let's not simplify it. One of the things that people say is, when you have TV programs or other podcasts, etc., people simplify it too much, and you leave the program thinking, well, I didn't get much from there. So let's say, there are some parents who are, for the sake of a better word, idiots. Not that they didn't raise their children better, but according to Sharia, they've actually done some haram as well. Like, for example, the father has earned haram. That's pure.
That's an impact of.
That's a big idiot.
Major.
Major. Okay. Or, for example, the mother kept on hiding the son or the daughter's crimes from the father, so that he's now become bigger and braver. Now he can stand up, and now he's stronger and bigger and taller than his dad, to stand up in his face and push him back. And I've actually seen a son beat up his father. So and then the mother was screaming, don't, and then I realized it's the mother's fault. It's the mother's fault. So the thing is, there are some parents, put it this way, there are parents who do not follow Sharia. Okay, they don't follow, and then when they get backlash, they think, what's happened here? Okay, so there are certain, if the father is earning haram income, what's the mum doing? The mum is painting over their crimes and their sins. The mum's
allowing it.
Allowing it. Actually, the doorway to sin. What one person said to me, the paradise lies under the feet of the mother. Yeah, I say, yeah, that's its location, but the entrance is the father. The door of paradise, according to Hadith, is the father. So we never heard of that before. Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, you have to. Okay, on the other side, somebody said, when I go home, and mum and dad old and sitting there, they need me. Who do I go to first? I said, the mum. You do khidmah of your mum first. And they said, when mum and dad argue, whose decision do I take? These are real life questions, yeah. And I said, the father's, because Islamically, you're supposed to do the khidmah of your mum first before your dad, and you're supposed to take the decisions and of orders of your father before your mother. And then the third question was, what if, like this happens? It's so common. Yeah, my dadke and nanke don't like each other, so mum says, don't go to your dadke and your, then forget your, chachi and your pupia, and your dad says, forget your masiya and your halas and, your mami, etc., your nanke. What do you do? Said, don't follow any of them, follow Allah. Allah says, do not break relationships. That's not disobedience of parents, and that's the other big problem. What is the disobedience of parents? Is disobedience of Allah. Yeah. So on the one side, you look at the children being naughty, sake of a better word, then the parents are being really silly as well. Okay, in that kind of real life situation, which, let's be honest, it's the majority of us. Forget any other country. In England, the majority, you just look around our area here, how many people are fully practicing the deen and know the knowledge of the Sharia?
That's the thing, right? And even if you told them that this is not what Allah Ta'ala, it's
very
hard for them to accept and follow.
Yeah.
Because they've lived their whole life in a certain way. It doesn't matter how much they tell you they're going to change, it's very difficult for them to change.
It's with anything.
A brother just rang me, and he said that I do not want I want to marry a particular girl. We sort of found each other, told the families weren't agreeing, but now they've agreed, and basically we don't want a registration marriage, like birth tests and marriages department there in the government. Why? Because then kafir law kicks in if there, for example, is a divorce or some problem in the marriage. And so I said, well, you don't need to go there. It's not faraz on you, Islamically. Okay, and then there's this big question, we live in a non-Muslim country, and so we should follow its laws. Yeah, absolutely, the necessary laws that you're supposed to follow, but where you have an option, you don't need to follow it. Yeah, and you can go to a solicitor's and do a legal contract there, just like you would have had at the... He's probably listening to the podcast at the moment. See, I didn't mention your name, so nobody knows who you are. Secret call. So most of what I do on the podcast is people who rang me along today. So there's 2 people already mentioned. So you could do it that way. They say, "Wow, that's unheard of." Yeah, we have to have an imam for the marriage. No, you don't. You have to have a marriage certificate. No, you don't. You have to get somebody from the masjid, head like logos, and no, you don't.
I guess that stems from knowledge, though.
It is, isn't it?
What people know. If you don't know, you can't really do.
If you think about the majority of marriages, that's what happens, right? The imam comes,
which is nice.
Yeah, it's nice, but then people take if you're not very close to the deen, that's what you're going to take. I need an imam.
Yeah.
I need a contract. Yeah. I need it to be, all these people around, and that's when I'm getting married, officially. Yeah. But the reality is, you don't need any.
Have a red Pakistani marriage and then a white English marriage in the registration office. You have to have a white dress.
It's our perception of what things are like. That's just what we've been brought up with. Yeah. That's what we've seen.
So look, it starts from marriage. Yeah, you haven't got that right. First of all, you're a bit confused, even about the dowry. So the brother rang up today. Some people are saying, well, if you divorce our daughter, you need to give her a house, and a car. So seriously, you have to put
options
that in the
must be very limited then.
I mean, the issue
for the guy.
starts.
We understand why, but you don't go that far.
I think the issue starts with the fact that they're even considering that to be an option.
Yeah.
I mean, why? What
can I say about your marriage?
Yeah, go
on public. Yeah, he's getting married next month.
Inshallah.
So we had a chat in the car the other day. In his Merc. Yeah, the first thing to do is do not show your Merc. No, only joking. So false expectations.
Otherwise, you want it in the contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet you've already bought a house.
But no.
Go on, tell us more. You know, like you're getting married next month, so this brother rang me up today, and there's certain things there which you found out, yeah? You found out that Islamically what we... Because if you don't get the marriage right, and then we talk about children and children issues, well then...
It's foundations, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to build a solid foundation before you go anywhere. Anyway.
Yeah. So what's the solid foundation in one word?
I wouldn't say in one word, but Islam. I'd just keep it to that.
Absolutely. You know, the
straight.
basic ground, I would say in one word, Sharia, and then
yeah.
that's the basic. Then you could
Straight
build up the sunnahs, because the brother was asking me, do we have to have a walima? Can we mix the walima with the nakah? I go, okay,
Sorry, you mentioned that the marriage doesn't start right, and one thing just came in mind. I don't know how relevant this is going to be, but is it guidance of that have started the nikah course, the marriage course?
Yeah, they are.
Before you get married,
Yeah,
this is the course, and here's the hukuk.
There's a number of courses.
Send me the link.
And,
So I think that's another great way of...
One thing is awareness, the other thing is execution, right? So
Yeah.
even a lot of people go to these courses and they still end up with the same situation.
they
That
still end up being executed.
It's what you want from me at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know the simple thing is, marriages in the past. Everybody, when you talk about today, modern, like one elderly lady said, "Oh, you kids are married off. You kids are educated now." Yeah, hope married off. You kids are educated now, and you know better than us elders. You're educated in Islam, and look, you're in more of a rut than we are. And then the youngster replied to the elder, he said, "Auntie G, that's because you guys never had a say." Yeah, and for one elderly auntie said, if I had a choice, I would have married your granddad.
But also,
yeah.
Do you know, I think
probably
my
not
grandma
something
said
worth
that.
mentioning in front of the kids. By the way, yeah. But
May Allah grant them Jannah, but I think she once said that to me as well. My granddad was like, alright.
I think that's the level of banter that they probably have.
Yeah, that's the level of comfort they feel.
Maybe
they have
after
the
all those years, she
Yeah,
got a
they-
chance to
They look at each other and they're like, where is this guy going to go?
express it, you know.
Like, yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's the point.
What are you going to do?
But you know, they actually asked this question to a old white couple that had been married for 50 plus years. So what's the difference? Why do you think your marriage has been so successful? And she said, essentially, when in their generation, when things broke, you try to fix them.
Yeah.
Whereas today, when things break, you throw them away.
You throw them away.
That goes back to the other past.
Again, it
podcast we had.
comes to
It's all
that
instant.
traditional mentality, is my way or the highway, you know, because they're so kind of used to breaking relationships so easy. You know, if the wife doesn't listen to the husband, he's just going to literally disown her, vice versa. In-laws get involved, brothers get involved. I mean, I've had a situation where a friend, his marriage was never successful because there was always a third person involved, and it actually come to a point where it got really violent, and it was really sad. But because if the relationship was strong enough where the husband and the wife always fixed their own problems and always found a resolution, there's never so this is another kind of worms. A third person.
Getting additional people involved, even if it's your own
It could be
cousins and parents.
parents.
I guess that does.
There's a 3-point process in Islam, isn't there? So first of all, husband and wife tries to sort you out, doesn't work, then get the two families from either side so it doesn't work, then go to a mufti or a padan or Sharia council or something. That second point, getting the people together, is supposed to be wise people who know how to be palamans, as we say, people who are mediators, not anybody who comes in and say, you know what, a brick is a brick, and fair enough, but how do you deal with it? So that point. But what Anabai was saying there, look, I totally agree. We have these days this concept of where everything is supposed to start off smoothly, like marriage. We have this concept that marriage is something where, if it doesn't work, it's time to move on. So one brother called me after seeing a Bollywood film because he got confused with the Bollywood film. He said, when is enough is enough? When is it? And in the Bollywood film, at the end they said, never, continue. Okay, fair enough to Shah Rukh Khan. But the thing is that, he in real life, would they do it? That's the question, So people are getting... So he said, when is enough is enough? And I said to him, I mean, this is my personal thing, because I knew him, so I knew his mentality may not apply to her. I said, you don't run away until she runs away. When she's gone, there's no way of getting her back. Yeah, then you know it's time to move on. Otherwise, the next woman you're going to get married to is also going to be a woman. Yeah. So the point is, why, like Adnan, why is it absolutely right? You know, sorry, you said it as well. That you know, you're supposed to fix things. Yeah, but you know that level of tolerance isn't there in our generation. So you have to please look at our generation. Please to the elders, Arthur Jorkar. Yeah, because the thing is that the elder, you can't apply. In fact, to one uncle and auntie, I said, you know, like you're giving advice to your son and daughter, but you're not even like your parents. You're not like them. They go, oh yeah, you know that they used to do. And I said, so in other words, I was saying, leave us alone. Yeah, this is our way that we handle things in England. It's not like the subcontinent, is it? Okay, so. Going back to this thing, and the reason why we hit on marriage is because that's where everything starts going wrong from you, and then you have children and stuff like that. So if we say that there is somebody who, whether it's partner, child, whoever, that, or brother, sister, that they've stopped speaking to you.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't answer your calls anymore. They don't want to talk to you anymore. Yeah, and yeah, you had problems, but you know, usually the wise one amongst them say, you know what, we can forgive and forget. Though actually there is one thing which somebody said, one person said to the other one, I'm sorry. So he accepted it. Think about all of our lives, this happens to us, yeah. And then did it again and said sorry and accepted it, did it again and then sorry, accepted it. You know, this goes on for it. And then after a while, you know, they weren't in communication for some time, and the person was really upset. Said, why does that person keep on hurting me like that and asking for forgiveness? Do they think they're tricking Allah? Yeah. And then you know what they said to him? They said to him, look, they said to him what they're going to say to him. I'm going to catch up later. Is the only way that I will forgive you. Now listen to this depth of this. Is if you ask Allah and Allah can give you anything. Yeah. Ask Allah for a time machine. Go back. Yeah. And we start all over again, and then you don't hurt me. But there's one thing left. I said, what's that? He said, I don't think you'll still be able to compensate for that hurt. I thought, you know what, that's going a bit too deep. So then the question arises, is that, you guys are judges, is that cruelty? Or is that like, you know, that,
you know what it is?
Intolerance. Now that's my level.
I'm guessing this relationship is a mother-son relationship. It seems like
it's a parent-child relationship.
Parent-child. But you know, one thing I was going to say is Islamically, we are taught to not break ties with, you know, our, you know, relatives, whoever they may be, right? And so.
But there's only so much you can take.
Exactly. So there is a level, that is a level of tolerance you can take, but then it's about properly defining that. Like the way I see it is, treat others as you would want Allah to treat you. So as you're a sinner, how many times have you sinned in your life? Would you say it's only 5 times or it's only 10? It's
I knew somebody was going to go off like this.
No, but do you...
The sun always shines on you, whether you're good or bad.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand, but you know what they say? You know, I sometimes used to talk like that, but then I actually still talk like that, but I divert it a little. Why? Because think about this now. People come to examples of Khwaja Gharib Nawaz. Be like the earth. Yeah. Be like the sun. Be like the ocean. Oh, okay. Khwaja Sahab, alhamdulillah to you. But the thing is that here's the thing. If you say that to somebody and they're already hurt, they're going to say one thing to you. They're going to say, have you been through what I've been through?
Definitely.
Yeah. Everybody who's going through that thing, only they know what's going through their heart. Yeah. Yes, you can give advice, like the Prophet ﷺ, he was going with the Sahaba past a graveyard, and a woman was crying over the grave of her husband, and he said, have sabr, and she didn't know who he was, she never looked, and she said, you don't know what I've been through. And then afterwards they told her who he was, then she went and apologized to the Prophet ﷺ. Yes, we give the advice of sabr, but it's like how you give it wisdom. Well, knowledge is good where wisdom leads the way. Yeah. So what's the wise way? How will you be able to say to, you know, I've got 1 or 2 solutions, because I thought, well, let's battery out, and then I thought about a few solutions. You know, with the tongue, first of all, it can land you in hellfire. I just thought I'd quickly put that in because the rest of it all. Okay.
That is goal as well, where the
Yeah.
tongue is more fierce than the sword.
The sword.
Absolutely. You know, in fact, one brother rang me early on today. He said, and another brother said that, you know, when you're the youngest in the family, you get to know when you're the last one get married, you get more wise, but you're looking at your Barbies and everyone, yeah. But the thing is, may Allah bless all our Barbies. The thing is, you know, the brother said, you know, we guys, we got muscle, but we really don't in this country. I said, why? He said, the police. She's gonna call the police. Then we had it, and they go, but she's got the tongue, and we haven't. Women couldn't do, and I actually thought about this. I saw a big muscular guy in the gym crying, and a little girl trying to, you know, quieten him up. Yeah, and basically, you know, he's a tough guy. He can knock anybody out in the gym. But the thing is that his girlfriend said something to him, and he couldn't take it. Yeah, big muscular guy. Yeah. So the thing is that
Level of tolerance like that.
yeah, poor guy. Oh, seriously.
But you know, he's right. Women can impact you significantly just with the words they use.
Yeah.
I mean,
men can't do the same.
Men
the
can't
the
do
tongue
that.
is
It's
sharp.
just
It's
Yeah,
true.
okay, but that's
gotta
obviously
use
for
it
the men
wisely,
as
yeah.
well. You know, the
You gotta be
you
careful.
know, 3 hits and you're out. The talaq as well. Men should be careful as well. Yeah.
Mm.
Acha, so it's not a cricket match.
Well, there's probably a reason, right? Just talking about that. That's probably a reason why women don't have that right to give divorce because they're so quick to react.
Yeah. My wife's told me
we'll
that
all
the
be
other
sat
day.
a single one.
Okay, you know, when you look at other people, when, for example, one of your wives upsets you, I say, yeah, take it, man. You know, she's all right. You'll get there. When my wife accepts me, I don't take it either. What? You know, that kind of stuff. So it's easy to give it. Like when another elderly person abuses you on the street, you say, ah, how cute. And when your own mum or dad abuse you, you think, well, I can't take this. I got to run away from home. Yeah.
You know, it's with age as well. Like, I'll be honest with you. When I was younger, I found it more difficult to take being told off than now.
Yeah.
Right? Because my father's older now. He could literally obliterate me, and I just, like, inshallah, hopefully, I wouldn't say anything back, because I just know he's at that age. With that age, you know, as you get older, also you call it in Urdu mizaj. I don't know what the word will be in English.
Yeah, your nature.
Yeah, it changes, and so you got to be kind of considerate of that. Like, I would think this issue you're talking about, hopefully, should be more in younger parents with kids.
Yes.
Than, you know, a big gap as in the parents are quite old, because naturally as your parents get older, you get rahm, like naturally from Allah Ta'ala. It doesn't matter how bad the son or daughter is, they start to build some rahm inside of them as well.
The issue is though,
you learn that, plus your dad's quite big as well and you don't want to take him on. I've seen his
the
dad.
issue is though, that's not always the case.
It's sad,
parents
it's not always
it's a
the
sad
case.
reality, but the
Yeah.
parents could be quite old and the children still don't.
Yeah, they still beat them up.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like
In
regarding
essence,
partners, one of the things that, like, this is one of the personal things that I do, you know, like, because Bilal Bhai was saying as well, I'm going to speak honestly, and plus his podcast, plus his Ramzan Sharif, and Allah's listening. So, because some of the elders, they say to me, one said, beta putter, let me tell you something. What's that? Look, I'm not going to tell you a lie. I'm sitting on the prayer mat. I've just read Asr. I've got tasbih in my hand. I said, okay, but just tell me, man. Okay, so I know they're going to tell. Achha,
The best one in school was the Allah Quran Pak Majid Ki Qasam, bro.
Subhanallah. So one thing regarding partners is, think about it, they're just like that. You're like this, they're like that. So sometimes, you know, say if my wife has a bit of a, you know, tongue slash at me, I think generally she's loving, she's nice, she's kind, she's caring, she's respecting, she's obeys, etc. But, you know, today she's a bit fed up because, you know, she had to do the hoover and the dishwashing and the shopping at the same time. Like at the same time, she had to be 3 people in one, and I couldn't help because I was doing my own job. So now, you know what, take it a bit, yeah. And the other thing I think is that, you know, your wife or your husband is worth more than your attitude or your jobs. Like, I really wanted her to take vitamin D. She delayed it for 20 days. Yeah, I'm being patient for 20 days, but how much more can I take? Because somebody said to me that, you know, vitamin D, it actually affects your brain as well. So you start talking illogically. yeah, you start to, I don't know how true that is, but somebody put that into my head. So I was like, oh my God, vitamin D, yeah.
And just stop having those tablets, you know.
Yeah, maybe need an
Might be a
overdose.
bit-
Anyway, Acha,
You know, one thing I was going to say about that though.
Go on.
It's, when you see fire, fight it with water.
Yeah.
Honestly, this
Yeah.
really works.
Yeah.
Like if someone's being angry at you, just smile back at them and just like almost like in a fun way.
yeah.
Like, come on, or what do you mean? Like, you know, like
Even if they push
it
you
doesn't no,
out the
okay,
door.
well, if they're like smacking you or something, maybe then you should remove yourself from that situation. But
Yeah.
point being is,
But someone
fight
like you
fire
would
with
probably
water.
just
yeah, just dodge
show
in
'em.
it, dodge the vases.
there was
Honestly,
hold the down
it works. It cools it down a lot faster.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was a story.
You know, afterwards, she did say to me, she said, I know what you're trying to do. You know, you're trying to be nice and calm and loving and caring.
but
I
there's-
know,
there's
but she said that afterwards.
Research that
Yeah.
proves that when you raise your voice,
Yeah.
the area of the brain it stimulates is linked with aggression.
Yeah,
So as long as you're keeping your voice calm, you're almost benefiting yourself. You're taking that one barrier away from that kind of issue that you're
mashallah,
facing.
more logarithmics or whatever it's called.
Algorithm.
Anyway, algorithm.
There's a story that
Go on.
I don't remember who told it, but it was about Imam Malik, and someone asked him, how do you stay calm? How have you stayed with your wife for so many years?
Oh, yeah,
And he said, whenever my wife
gets
argues,
angry, yeah.
she gets angry,
Yeah.
I stay silent.
Yeah.
I don't speak.
yeah,
And vice versa.
Vice
Whenever
versa,
I'm
yeah.
angry, she doesn't speak.
yeah.
And I think
Otherwise, my
that's-
ego will speak.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think-
it.
I
You know,
think-
with subcontinent men, let's
That's
be
true.
You know, come on. I mean, mum, dad, whatever they say, that, and then what husband says, oh my God, and then what mother says. You know, that kind of with the kids, etc. Here, I find, you know, with the like equality and whatever, you know, why non-Muslims as well. Yeah, you find that they're actually pretty cool regarding this. Yeah, the thing is, one of my neighbors, white couple, you know, she was going out for a jog. You know, she was gonna have a bit. I think she was in her 8th month, and she was going out for a jog, and then.
Only white couples could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, white couples. So yeah, we have to, you know, like they're not allowed to do
Bed
anything for
rest.
6 months. Absolutely. And what does that to their health is drastic. Yeah, and before they're thin and slim, according to how Western men see women, and then afterwards they're chorty and morty, and then you think what. So the thing is, you know, my 11th commandment for women, thou must not weigh more than thy refrigerator. Anyway, so the thing is, yeah, look after your health. But she was coming out, and she goes, you know, you Pakistani lot, you're so lucky. I go, why is that? She goes, you lot get bed rest for your wives. And I said, no, what you're doing is better. Yeah. She goes, but, you know, named her husband, you know, he because I may listen to the podcast, he doesn't understand. He goes, I mean, this is a bit cruel. He goes, no, Tika, you're going to have the baby, yeah, but the thing is that it's equality. You talked about equality.
If I'm gonna stay fit, then you must stay fit as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. It's equality. You have to do equal amount of dishes.
Man,
Yeah.
equality is hard, right?
Equality is hard, absolutely. Did I tell you when I was at the gym, and we were doing a cycling class, and the instructor said, she was a female, she said, for the men you put up your like your difficult level to 5 or 6, and for women you leave it at 4. And I said, where's equality? And, and they all started giggling, the women, because, you know, it's not equality. It's sharing certain tasks with one another. One person does this and the other person does that. That's how it is. But with men going in, and there was recently an ex-gangster. He helps his wife out at home, and I'm amazed how much he helps out. Maybe he spent a lot of time outside more than us guys, but now he likes the home. But the thing is, you know, ex-gangster. So he's washing the dishes. In fact, sometimes when we ring one of my friends, he said, and his wife picks up the phone. I said, yeah, where's my mate? Oh, he just fed the kids. He gave them a bath, and he's putting them to bed. I said, well, what am I supposed to go out with him then? Yeah, you know, that kind of stuff. So there is that. We're not saying that not all Asian or Pakistani men, and not all white people are like that, and we're not saying that. But the important thing is what Moin said, that, you know, it's very hard to stay calm. Yeah, especially, let's admit it, we're men here, especially when you think And here's the point with men, because I kept on digging, like, what is it? Is it your ego? Is it your anger? Is it what? So the basic two ingredients of a marriage for a man is respect, and for a woman is love. You stop loving her, she's gonna go mental. And you stop getting respect, you're gonna hit the roof. Yeah. So it's the respect basic, and the exactly where bit in the respect. And here's the point: is when you think you're gonna lose your authority, not leadership. That's a bit different. Authority. So if you lose your authority, what happens? When the king loses his reign, the whole country goes to grabs for anyone and everyone. Yeah. So he's afraid that the family system is going to get upset. Yeah. And then there's going to be more problems. So that's why he's worried. I mean, one of the things one of our teachers say is, imagine if you're in a car and the father stroke husband is the driver and the wife stroke mother is sitting next to him and the kids are in the back. They can advise him where to go navigate in life, etc., but they don't take the wheel off him, otherwise the car's going to crash. Yeah, so that's what he's afraid of, rightfully so. So the point is that when it comes to different relationships, as Bilal was saying in the beginning, it depends on different reactions. But I'm going to say something general here now. Okay, first of all, and this is like open for debate. Yeah, I recently found out it's not their fault.
Whose fault?
Anyone's.
What do you mean?
It's your qismat. It's your destiny.
Oh, right.
It's
old chestnut.
It's Allah's will. It's Allah's will. Now,
but you know, recently I was kind of trying to understand better this topic, right?
Yeah.
And what I
were you
learned-
practically trying to understand it better in your family, or is it? Okay, all right. That's
educationally.
That's under
educationally.
the bottom clause,
Terms
right?
and
Okay.
conditions.
Disclaimer
Disclaimer. Yeah. Go on.
to my wife.
Yeah.
But
Do your family
essentially-
listen into the podcast?
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah, I have to be careful as well. All right.
But essentially, it's to do with the fact that certain things, like the person you're going to marry.
So I can't help saying this. It's just
Go
just tickling me now.
Oh,
you
here we go.
like when your family or your
Get the
friends,
mic off him.
when
know,
your family
literally.
and your friends are listening to the podcast,
Yeah.
one of the best things I like about a podcast, is when you go back, they say to you, "You were true there," or "That's not you." What the heck were you giving advice to other people, pretending to be a goody
never
goody?
said that to me. That's not.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
That's
But that's the good thing about podcasting. It shows you who you are. Yeah. Whether you're making it up, and I go back and my wife said, "Huh? You never did that with me." I said, "Well, that was for other wives and husbands."
That's for the other two you don't know about.
Yeah. That's not far. Oh, don't say that.
Don't bait him out.
But listen, certain things such as the person you're going to marry, the number of kids you're going to have, the wealth you're going to accrue in your life, those things are already written. As far as I've learned, those things have already been written for you. So it's really, let's be honest, you don't have much control over that, right? But then other things like sins, good deeds, all of that, that's still within your control. The example I was given, or when I was listening to this,
Here we go on destiny.
No, it's to do with the fact that, look, Allah Ta'ala, through His knowledge, knows, even though He's given you, the right to choose and do what you want,
What you're going to do.
what you're going to do. It's like watching a film, and if you've already watched the film and you recorded what happens in the end, you can write it down, but for a new person coming in to watch that film from the start,
You got full-knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got full knowledge what's going to
Yeah.
happen, even though she's going through that film, right? And that's how destiny works. So when people start using destiny as, okay, if my destiny is to go to hell anyway, so what's the point trying? That's not.
So the
way it
Sahaba
works.
asked that to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the way you live your life, that's how it's going to end, and that's where you end up in the hereafter. So stick as close as possible to you. So if you see somebody doing something good, you think, that's a person of paradise. Yeah, and if you see something bad, you think, well, but obviously we're not the judges. But what my point is this, going a bit deep into it, Allah's irada, some of you have done Islamic courses, so what's the difference between Allah's pleasure and Allah's will? Because Allah may not be happy with you hurting that person, but it is His will. He allows it. Let's put it that way. He gives, the hukum, the permission for you to do that. So in that sense, I was saying it's not the other person's fault. Now why? And here's the main point. Like this, is like a killer point which I've learned in my life. It's good for your tarbiyah. If that person didn't hurt you, you would not become a better person.
Mm.
Yeah. So why are you blaming the
In
other
disguise,
person?
it's made you stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one way that I personally, if somebody hurts me, I personally get over it. I get over it. I said it's not their fault. It was literally my destiny. It was Allah's will. Yeah, and it was good for me to develop, to be hurt that much or damaged that much that I'm so purified that on the day of judgment I'll meet Allah Ta'ala in a more pure state. Yeah.
I think the way I see it is, throughout your life, as you're living your life, you will go through certain things that will help you in the future, in future scenarios and situations that occur.
Yeah.
So if at one point you have to deal with something with a lot of sabr, just know or expect, and not really expect, but it is most likely going to happen where you're going to need to use that, or you're going to have to.
See, we don't realize that at the time, but when we reap the rewards later,
you're right.
We all go through that, don't we? Can we admit, or I was just making up some philosophy? Is that true?
It's true.
No, what you've just said, where the will is accepting that this was the will of Allah. It comes back to the hadith with the three elements. The second one being that you made the dua. It wasn't accepted to marry this girl or to marry a girl of your choice, but Allah has removed a greater calamity from your life by that dua not being accepted. It's almost been compensated. But then the pleasure is of Allah, like Khalid Bhai has mentioned. Allah
Being content with Allah's decision.
That's it.
And also it takes, going back to your point about it makes you better, it makes you more refined, it takes pressure to make diamonds.
That's cool.
Yeah, it does.
It absolutely does. In fact, many of our scholars actually historically have mentioned those examples. How do you turn metal into gold? You burn it and you do all. And Imam Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi rahmatullah says, if you're irritated by every rub, how will you get polished? Yeah. So the thing is, the sister who rang me earlier on today.
The shines are coming out now.
Yeah. No. The sister rang me earlier on today. She was so upset that her fiance deserted her, and I said, think about it. God forbid if your future children desert you. This is a preparation for that. She goes, so obviously the next question was, Khalid, why would that happen? Obviously I don't know. I'm just giving you an example that you become better, and that what Bilal said earlier, look, as we grow older we get mature and we get wiser, and there's certain level of sabr that comes, and that mizaj, that nature changes. And so why does that happen within people like that? Like if somebody upset me, my friend upset me, my mom said, oh, forgive him. I said, easy for you to say, Mom, but she's been through certain stuff herself. She knows. She's telling me but I haven't got that, but I'm getting there. So this is the path that you're gonna have to take.
But then that goes down to what I said the other day about reflecting. If you don't reflect on your own examples, you won't know that that's the case, unless you actually think about what you've gone through.
But then, like you've mentioned in the beginning, is why would that person continue to put themselves in that situation again and again when it's caused you so much heartache and pain? But still, for some reason, you just keep going back. You're not reflecting. You're not learning.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're pious to the level where you're like,
unless you're Data Sahib.
Okay.
Yeah. Data Sahib,
happy with people.
They all bark. Yeah.
They're all bark.
But what we're talking about is enough is enough, meaning that Allah does not want you to stay in a situation, work or marriage or anything, where you're going to be suffering. In fact, one brother earlier on today rang me from another city. He was like shocked when I said to him, I mean, seriously, this is like really, you say this is weird, but look at the way that we think these days. He was shocked when I said, Allah doesn't want to punish you or make you suffer or enjoy your suffering or want you to go to hell. He goes, what? Because he thought, Na'uzubillah, astaghfirullah, that Allah has a cruel side to himself. And he doesn't. But because of his life and what's happened in his life, and the reason why he rang me, is because of that he's been through such hardship that he's got the wrong end of the stick.
I guess it's his perception.
He needed to hear it.
His perception of it.
Yeah.
Has come to that.
And Allah being astaghfar, Allah even says, my mercy rules over my anger, and his anger is correct, and you get swab for being angry at certain times because it's the right thing to do as well.
We keep on coming back to this point, right? It's remembering the purpose of your life, right? This life is a test. So Allah's going to test you, right? Whether it's through hardship, whether it's through pain from your children, whatever it is, right? And this is why it's almost like a continuous theme, regardless of the topic we've discussed. remembering the true purpose of your life. It's as simple as that. And Allah Ta'ala doesn't test you beyond your limits. You got to always remember that.
Yeah,
doesn't matter how hard you think it is.
Quranic ayah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very clear.
Allah Ta'ala
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah.
And you know, when he tests us, he doesn't test us because he doesn't know, but because he tests us because on the day of judgment we will not be able to answer him back, because we have been tested for ourselves to show us our worth. Like when you go for an exam, you're tested to show you how much qualified you are. Yeah. Do you understand that? That's how. And then if you are qualified enough, you're taken on for the job. If you're qualified enough, then you'll be in Imam Mahdi's army. But all I'm saying is the qualification, end of times, and people I think talking a lot about that kind of stuff with the virus on and all this kind of thing. Are you going to be in the right team? So this world is good enough for nothing except it's the best testing ground. Allah has created it as the best testing ground. And when you feel close to Allah, people say, oh, you feel close to Allah and I can take on, Mawlana Jalaluddin Rumi, Ya Allah, hit me with any arrow that you want, you still see me standing. I mean, that's easy to say.
Especially at a position of
all
strength.
salute to Mawlana
What
Sahib.
did Maulana do to get to that level for him to say that?
There you
That's
go,
true
the
as well.
Nan's on the spot. How do you, he goes through stuff. Some of the greatest poets in history, Muslim or non-Muslim, or some of for the youngsters, the modern pop artists now, some of them, if you ask them, why did you write that song? Is because they've been through that. And they wrote that, and it was a big hit, it was a #1 hit.
No, just when you mentioned why some poets write something, one verse I came across of in Allah Hazrat's Kalam.
I was waiting for that all that time.
He says, "Nakira ne karte hain ta'zim meri, fida ho ke tujh pe ye izzat mili hai." So he's actually disclosing that nakira ne karte hain ta'zim meri, that the angels revere me, they respect me. Why? Because I have obliterated and sacrificed myself in the love of the Prophet ﷺ. But what love was that? Only Allah Hazrat can tell us that.
Allah Hazrat Rahmatullah, he's been through, I don't know, not many people mentioned it, but he actually been through really testing times. If you read through his life, he didn't have a cozy life. He been through really testing times. And Adnan Bhai, maybe one day you research into that. Like what kind of troubles and problems he came across in his life and made him who he is. The thing is, look at Khwaja Gharib Nawaz, Sultan al-Hind, talking about the whole of India, subcontinent, what problems he went through, and the whole point is this, this path to paradise is full of blood, sweat and tears. And on last Jummah, one LD Maulana Sahib, he was saying that Hazrat Shibli Rahmatullah was going through the jungle and he heard somebody say Alhamdulillah, and he thought there's no human being in sight anywhere for miles, but who is it? And he looked in the foliage of the jungle and he found this weak, old, thin man sitting there and saying Alhamdulillah. But you can tell from his face and from his state, he's been through loads of troubles. And you know what?
Allah.
As a Shibli Rahmatullah said, he said, you can take all my Kabul good deeds, just give me that one Alhamdulillah. Because he realized, and on the day of judgment, have to put this in, but someday in judgment, those people who have not suffered, they would wish Allah to give them like nails of iron to scrape their skin off, so that they would have been through the same hardship of other people. In fact, only today we were going on a sunny walk, and I said to my wife, I said, if the rain didn't come, we don't have great weather in Manchester, then we wouldn't appreciate the sun. If sadness didn't come, we wouldn't appreciate happiness. If failure didn't come, we wouldn't appreciate success. The whole point is that's how our brain works, and everybody accepts that. So one of the biggest things in acceptance of this, like the next point was that then there's no real actual hurt. I just remember your Rambo on that thing on the fair, like when he's being electrocuted and he said, and then no real hurt. Anyway,
if you think about it, pain, it's in your mind, right? That's how you feel pain. So it really depends on how you take it. I feel on my body as well, Bilal.
Through your algorithms.
So how many times does that happen where you perceive something, we mentioned this earlier, and it was never what you
Yeah.
what you actually
Absolutely.
thought.
Exactly.
Like in that person's heart, in that
Yeah.
person's mind, there
It
was
was
never
perception.
that thought.
Magnified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about perception, essentially.
You know, the
It
scars
is.
of the heart last longer than the scars of the body. Yeah, I mean, we should be careful with other people's hearts as well as our own. In fact, the thing is that
Isn't that the one thing Abu Bakr was told when he went to Miraj? Like, if there was one thing.
I don't know, I wasn't
someone-
there. So I said again, I don't know.
Have you heard that?
No.
I heard
I've
something
not heard
I'll have to
about,
double
you know,
check
if there
that.
was one thing, don't hurt anyone's heart. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay, no fatwas, please. We're live. We're just looking into it. So the important thing is that what you just said there, what Adnan said, what you said. You know, sometimes when you're alone, you think about these things that your heart is actually magnifying, or your mind is magnifying the problem. Yeah, later on you think it wasn't that bad, and if I acted different, then if I was less angry and less upset, we could have settled it better. And was it really a big thing? Yeah, I mean, imagine a family. This happens all. A family
I think
going
traditionally
on a holiday.
we always make it a bigger thing than it is.
Yeah,
Tradition.
it's that
It is
human
true.
tradition, is it? So you know, when you're going in a family with a car on a holiday and you're excited about it, and suddenly the tire bursts, what happens? The family start shouting each other. I mean, how does that work? And it's happened so many times. But like the tire burst.
You know, reflecting, even
Yeah.
on your day, it's sunnah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's better than many years of worship, actually.
Yeah.
To reflect at the end of your day about, you know, how you lived that day and what you could improve and what you could change. That's better than many years of worship. And so it all of these themes are linked, right?
Yeah.
If people reflect more, they'll give up on these
Yeah.
kind of grudges more easily as well.
Yeah, Bilal's always going back to that one big solution, which is good. That's why actually my mind works like that as well. Which like reflection, you know, reflection on what, you know, you can reflect on your life and everything. But here's the other thing: if you reflect on Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and His qualities and why He does things to us and our relationship to Him, which how many scholars talk about that, and we need to put this out.
Sifat of
Everybody
Allah.
hearing on podcast, we need to put this out to our scholars, our imams. We talk about, we have Milad Sharif, Gyanwi Sharif, we talk about many other things, but what about who Allah is and our relationship with Him and how He deals with us? If you reflect on, don't you think we wouldn't really need this podcast? What we would really need is that platform just to talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You need, the thing is,
Have we got that on the list, by the way? We should have.
even this podcast.
Fahim actually mentioned it once in a meeting when you asked him in I remember this in Fazan Islam.
Yeah.
He was sat opposite me, and the first thing he mentioned was to be taught or to seek the meanings of the sifat of Allah. And that's what you've said.
Absolutely.
And when you
Subhanallah,
do
yeah,
that,
I remember,
Subhanallah.
yeah. Everything
things fall into
every-
Allah is just
fall into
absolutely.
place, it
Then you
does
don't
fall
have to
into
see
place.
that, brother, if you're listening, that Bollywood film to try to sort your life out. Yeah, because you know some people, they look at other access ways of trying to, and the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seriously, our ulama way back in the past,
Subhanallah.
they used to connect everything in their life to that. Everything in their life to that. So, you know, why did Allah do this? Because He has this name, and that's the quality of this name. This is why He did this to us. Like even degrading us or making we rise, etc. Yeah? Okay, so inshallah we will discuss that. And if Allah's not on that list, then we shouldn't have the list.
You shouldn't have the podcast.
We shouldn't have a podcast.
We wouldn't
What
have
we're
us,
doing
we
here in
wouldn't
the
exist.
first place.
is
As if
to
we-
help guide the remembrance of Allah. right?
Absolutely,
Subhanallah.
mashallah.
Subhanallah.
It all ties back down to
It
that.
all ties back to
It does, it does.
We have the best person in
Okay, inshallah
that
after
position.
this program now, it will be the iftar transmission with Qari Saab as well. Again, inshallah, Jazakumullah khair for listening in, and please stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum assalam.
ये है नवीद रमज़ान, ये है नवीद रमज़ान, नवीद रमज़ान, ये है नवीद रमज़ान, ये है नवीद रमज़ान। रब का मेहमान है ये, हम पर एहसान है ये। रब का मेहमान है ये, हम पर एहसान है ये। कर लो इबादत तुम, रब का है फरमान। ये है नवीद रमज़ान, ये है नवीद रमज़ान, नवीद रमज़ान, ये है नवीद نوید رمضان یہ ہے نوید رمضان رب کا مہمان ہے یہ ہم پر احسان ہے یہ رب کا مہمان ہے یہ ہم پر احسان ہے یہ کر لو عبادت تم رب کا ہے فرمان یہ ہے